Urich brought Gario to the Earl. Earl Molando asks Urich about the things that happened. Urich said, Earl Deggleton died, and this guy, who said he is his brother, is saying that he will succeed as the Deggleton's house Earl. Earl Molando was shocked hearing that. He said, Earl Deggleton died. I told you not to kill him. Urich replied, I didn't kill him. As soon as I captured him, that guy Gario killed his own brother. Earl Molando looked at Gario and said, That is insane. Silver Lion Gario, I cannot believe you killed your own brother. Gario smirked and said, Then would you like to continue this battle, Earl Molando? My subordinates won't stop fighting even if I die. Rather, they would be racing to plunder your estate. Earl Molando said, Earl Deggleton still has a young child, Gario. You will not succeed as Earl. Gario laughs and replies, It won't be an issue if I marry my dead brother's wife. I will take his child as my adopted child. In fact, she might rather welcome my proposal. Molando realizes that perhaps Gario already planned everything. He said, If you want to become Earl, you will have to hide the fact that you killed your brother with your own hands. Gario replied, I will probably have to spread of needless rumors until my position is secured. Gario offered his hand to Earl Molando and said, But I will give up the right to this area of conflict. I will sign it on a document right now. Forget my brother's error, and let us become good neighbors. Earl Molando accepted the offer and said, So we will just make up the story that the Earl died from falling off the horse. I did hear rumors before about how he was inexperienced in horse riding. Looking at how the two negotiate, in Urich's mind, the people here don't fight for their family and their own brothers. They betray their own family for their own power and greed. How boring! Is this what wars and politics are like here? Before Urich leaves the area, he is called out by Gario and he says, Why don't we introduce ourselves to each other? We were just fighting to kill each other with our swords. Urich, with disgust at his betrayal, looked at him and said, I am Urich the Barbarian, bye! Urich was thinking that if he was alone, he would just split Garcio's skull in half. Gario said, If you have the reputation of fighting on equal footing with the Silver Lion mercenaries, work will be flowing in you, Urich the Barbarian. Urich replied, You have the plan on killing your brother from the start, right? If your goal was to protect Earl Deggleton, it would have been easier to keep him next to you. But you yelled at him to run, as if you were giving me an opportunity to catch him. Gario smiled because of the sharpness of Urich to discern his plan. He thinks that if Urich doesn't die as a mercenary, he will be going to become quite big. Gario said, You wouldn't understand, Barbarian. Everyone told me that an illegitimate child would never become Earl. They decided it was fate. How laughable. I returned here to overcome my faith as an illegitimate child. Urich just looks at him, in his mind, just like he said, I cannot understand him. Is becoming an Earl so important that you would kill your own brother for it? Urich bid his goodbye and said, Remember my name, Gario Deggleton. If we meet again, you will die by my hands. The night after that, Earl Molando creates a party and a toast for the mercenaries who were the key to his victory. Urich asks, Is Molando that good for a lord? He is as weak as a sheep, though. Bachman replied, If it is that much, he is a good lord. At least Earl Molando doesn't take more than what is necessary. Do you know why I left home? I ran away when I was about to die from starvation, those damn nobles. Then at that party, there is a bard talking about the adventures and fight of Urich so their mercenary could gain fame. The bard sings, because the 24 mercenaries faced the Silver Lion mercenaries without hesitation, the noble was terrified by their spirit. He let go of his reins and fell off his horse. The Silver Lions became gray rats and ran away with their tails between their legs. Urich mercenaries and their leader, Urich, the hero from the mysterious land. The sincerest mercenaries that defended the Molando estate. The mercenaries are happy listening to their achievement. Earl Molando and Urich talk about something. The Earl said, Those bards will travel to other cities and spread the song since I give them money. Urich thanks the Earl for being generous, but the Earl laughs and told Urich that it was nothing compared to what he did for his estate. Earl Molando asks Urich if he has any desire to have a stable life. Urich asks him if what is he trying to say. Earl Molando said, I will give you a land here. I will even exempt you from taxes for this generation. Meet a good woman, create a family, and live here, in return fight for me. Urich was quite amazed for the offer, thinking he could gain a stable life in the new land. Urich almost gives up to the offer, but he says, "It is an amazing proposition. It feels like I got hit by a bolt of lightning. What about the other mercenaries? My land isn't that big. I can only afford to share the land with 2, 3, or maybe 4 of other mercenaries. Then I will refuse. I mean, no, I had no plans of accepting the offer in the first place. I apologize." Earl Molando looks at him and asks, "Isn't a safe, stable life dream of all mercenaries? Could I ask at least a reason?" Urich stays silent and looks at the sky. In his mind, why do stars change at night? Why does the moon's form change? The world is filled with things that I don't know. Because there are a lot of things that he wants to be answered, he told Earl Molando that the reason he refuses is because it is not his dream, at least. After the long battle, Urich was able to rest and sleep. He dreamed of his past child self walking in the green land beyond the mountains. He was able to reach the fertile land beyond the mountains. It was different from what the elders taught, that beyond the mountains is the land of soul, and those who cross over it cannot come back. He wants to say that those old hags are wrong. The world of living beyond the mountains. One day, he plans to go back and tell the people in their tribe about this. He knows that they probably won't believe him. They wouldn't be able to imagine it, that there was another world beyond the mountains. And then he was transported into an unknown place that is burning. The place is like hell. There he saw his future self, who won countless battles, and on the ground there are piles of skulls and dead bodies of soldiers that he was able to slaughter. And then a cleaner in the inn wakes him up so she can clean the area. But Urich, who leaves with a threat anywhere he wants, is alarmed and grabs the neck of the attendant. The girl was coughing from being choked. He dropped the girl and said, "I have some horrible sleeping habits. I am sorry." But Urich could think that another dream like that happened again. Since it is already early in the morning, he shouted to all of the mercenaries, "Stop sleeping and wake up, you lazy pigs. You had your fill to eat, so it is time for you to go and work again. Life is short, brothers." They walk around to go sightseeing in the area. Donovan said, "Damn it. Looks like we won't be camping for a while." Bachman told Urich that there should be a lot of good opportunities in the area. Urich asks Bachman about the name of the city. Bachman replied, "This is Havarand. There is a lot of commercial activity going on in this city because of its good geographical location. I used to work as a laborer for a merchant before becoming a gladiator, so I have been here for a few times. From now on, we have to focus on money every day. We will be begging on the streets if we don't get a job." Then around the area, there is a bard whispering to the people. He said, "That is the Urich brothers, the one who stops the silver lion." Then someone said, "There are only a few of them. They managed to stop silver lions with only this number of men." Then of course the extras came in to boast something. They said, "We are from the famous Urich brothers. The silver lion guys were pretty tough. My head would have flown if I let my guard down for a second." Bachman told Urich that he told those guys to yell on the street on purpose to let the people know about their presence in the area. Urich asks the mercenaries what they should do from now on. Bachman said, "Urich, you always ask us for our opinion first. I bet that attitude of yours is the reason why the other mercenaries aren't hostile towards you." Urich replied, "My brothers from my homeland are not here. But right now, you are now my brothers." But for the other mercenaries, what Urich said is so cringy. Donovan said, "We need to gather information and also find some jobs. There are probably a lot of jobs here that need mercenaries. We can even do escort missions if it comes to that. And those who are left should be polishing our weapons and armor, not playing around with women or getting drunk." Bachman told them that he would gather the information and Donovan be in charge of the maintenance. Sven told them that he had to go to some area and he was out of the schedule just for today. Urich asks him where is he going to go. Sven said, "There should be a slave market in a city like this." Urich replied, "I guess so, but so what? You aren't thinking of becoming a slave again, are you? You can go to the Hill of Swords as a mercenary too, old man." Sven said, "If there is a slave market, there is no question that a few people of the same race as I am will be here. I would like to hire one of them at least if our funds permit it." Hearing that, Urich happily stands up and says, "Then I will go and tag along with old man Sven. I will leave the rest of the work to Bachman and Donovan." Bachman and Donovan already knows that Urich wants to tag along to escape from work. Urich asks, "Old man, how old are you? I can't tell because of your beard." Sven replied, "Who knows? I hadn't counted how many years had passed since I came of age, young one. Urich irritatingly said, Old man, I am the leader here, you know? Are you still going to keep calling me the young one? Sven just smirked and told him that he is really still young though. Urich said, Looks like the slave market is large, as expected of a commercial city. Now that you mention it, you were a slave too, right, old man? Sven replied, My body may have been a slave, but my spirit wasn't. He added, My spirit never ceased making its way towards the Hill of Swords, the hill where our progenitor Ulgaro is waiting for us. Urich replied, Ulgaro, huh? Just make sure to keep a proper eye out. Then Sven approached the man who piqued his interest. He kneeled down and talked to him using the northerner's language. He said, Choose, brother. Will you live the life as a slave or head to the Hill of Swords with me? The slave replied, Of course, I will walk towards the hill where Ulgaro waits, brother. Then with that Sven pays the slave trader and gives his cape to the slave. Urich said, So that fellow will be joining our mercenary band then? Sven replied, He was fated to die. Now that he has been granted the opportunity to go to the hill, he will be a loyal warrior like no other. Just like me. Urich called Sven and said, I would have done the same thing as you would do, old man, if I were in your shoes. If one of my brothers was captured as a slave, even I would have spilled blood. Sven said, Be careful of that hot-blooded of yours, Urich. You need to learn patience every once in a while. Urich replied, I am a guy with plenty of patience, Sven. All one needs to do is to figure out when it is not needed. When Urich came back, Backman told him that they already got a good one. It is a job that comes from the Lord. Urich asks what kind of job is that to come from the Lord. He said, It looks like he is hiring people who are going to support the main armed forces during the thief subjugation. He added, Look, Urich, this is the city. This isn't the small territory of a small lord. It is a place that is real, honest-to-God rich noble is ruling over. If everything goes well, we could be heading home with a hefty reward. We can completely change your gear with that money. Just how long are you going to wear that leather around? Urich replied, This is comfortable though. Steel armor just isn't good for me. Backman happily said, Anyway, I made an appointment for tomorrow, so let's go and meet the Lord. Urich replied, Yeah, I know we haven't actually gotten a job yet, but let's drink to our heart's content tonight. Urich stands up and raises the glass of beer and he says, Life is short and there is plenty of alcohol to drink. Let us enjoy to our heart's content. And the whole crowd cheered. The next morning, Urich together with Backman and Donovan goes to the Lord's house. Urich was amazed at the place. For him, it was a really well-built castle. It is really cool. The civilization that the people built in that area is truly amazing. Then they arrive the area where the Lord is waiting, and they are greeted by the Lord. Urich, who doesn't know the proper etiquette of the nobles, just sits down there and greets the Lord. The Lord said, You seem to be the most famed mercenaries as of late, Urich's brothers. Urich picks up the apple and replied, I came here because I have been told that you had a job for us. The Earl's knight, Sir Seaton, said, You are lacking manners. Do not forget that you are in the front of the Lord, you mercenary. Urich told the Earl, Earl Haverand, I think you need a new marshal. He really lacks of manner, glaring at someone he just met. Sir Seaton, who felt insulted at what Urich said, wants to unsheath his sword and slash Urich. Urich warns him that if he draw out his sword, he will be going to lose his hand. The Earl told Knight Seaton to stop what he is going to do. Urich said, You think I lack of manners just because I ate an apple? Or do you perhaps have a problem with me acting close to the Lord? I am the barbarian Urich. They say so in the songs. I know you called me here despite knowing that. Backman was panicking on what they should do to gain back the favor of the Earl when Urich showed some rude behavior, but Donovan was quite proud of Urich in his mind. Urich is right. Fulfilling an order of the Empire as a barbarian is a proof of strength. They should let this much rudeness slide if they want to hire us. The reason why the barbarians lost to the Empire was due to the difference in strategy and equipment. In terms of physical ability, they are far superior. The Empire especially had the strongest weapons made from the imperial steel that they had monopolized. In a world of mercenaries where we all are equipped with similar weapons, a barbarian fighting prowess is bound to shine through. They are the ones who are desperate, not us. Urich tries to leave the area after that. But before it could happen, Earl asks for forgiveness for his knight, Sir Seaton's rudeness. Sir Seaton protested, telling the Earl that they are just a bunch of rude mercenaries and they do not need to hire mercenaries. Earl Haverin said, "Silence, Seaton. If we can prevent losing even one less soldiers by hiring these mercenaries, there is no price that I am not willing to pay." Sir Seaton bows down and asks for forgiveness from his lord. Earl Haverin said, "The pay will be 80 million sil. If you make a defining difference, I am willing to pay up to 100 million sil. I am fairly certain that it is not a bad pay for 28 men." With that, the negotiations is done, and Urich told him that they will now make the preparations. Bachman said, "We hooked a big one. 80 million sil just for bandit eradication." Urich asks, "Hey Bachman, who is he? He doesn't have any weapons when we are going to fight?" Bachman replied, "He is a clergyman of Saul. There are some that march with soldiers like that." Urich said, "What is a clergyman? Do you mean a shaman? Why is he following an army?" Bachman said, "To give blessings before the fight or the funeral for the dead. If one spirit isn't guided properly to Ru's side, they have to wander around the world of the living for a long time before making their way to the sun." Urich said that the clergymen must know a lot of stuff. Bachman replied, "Of course, clergymen are basically scholars. Why do you ask though, Urich?" Then Urich approached the clergy and called him. The clergyman said, "You must be the captain of the mercenaries. My name is Gotval." In Urich's mind, Gotval is like only on his early 20s, but even Seaton is highly respectful toward the clergyman. Urich said, "I am Urich. It seems like I don't need to properly introduce myself." Gotval replied, "Nice to meet you, Urich. I would like to thank you for the believers in the city." Urich asks him what is he thankful for. Gotval said that he is thankful for fighting against the bandits for the kind people, but Urich told him that it is a paid job and there is nothing he should be thankful with that. Gotval replied, "Even if you are being paid, not everyone can fight while risking their life." Urich asks Bachman if all of the clergymen are crazy like Gotval, but before he could talk more, Bachman held his mouth and said, "I apologize, Monk Gotval. This is the first time our captain has met a clergyman." Gotval replied, "It is okay. I know that his customs are different from ours." Urich is curious why Gotval is acting so nice to him, and he starts to wonder if all clergymen are like that. Bachman shouted at him, "Urich, don't anger the sun god. These are the people that have to offer their soul and their body to the god." Urich told him that he knew them and they were like shamans. Bachman said, "I am saying this because I don't think you get it." Urich angrily replied, "Are you looking down on me because you think I am a stupid barbarian?" Then they stopped to the area to camp out. Gotval approaches Urich. Urich called him as clergyman, but he said that he can call him as Gotval. Urich was curious about the one that Gotval holding, so he took it. Gotval told him that it was a bread that was supposed to be his dinner, but when Urich bites from it, it was too hard to eat. Urich said, "Your teeth might be tougher than they look. I heard that some people might be different than what they look." Gotval said, "No, this is a bread you eat by cutting it into bite-sized pieces, and you slowly melt it with your spit. Just because you are hungry doesn't mean you can eat till you are full. It is a good practice to train your patience." Urich told him that he must have a hard life, and the bread also tasted nothing. Gotval replied, "When you eat delicious food, your body might be happy, but your soul will cry." Urich asks if that is the life of a clergyman. Gotval replied, "Our mission is to guide the souls of our believers that have been trained by the worlds to rue. We must not fall to the sensual pleasures of the world. There is no way a fallen soul can guide other souls." Urich asks Gotval if he knows how to read and write, which Gotval said yes. Urich said, "Please teach me how to read and write. I already learned this much." Gotval was amazed that a barbarian knew how to write. Urich writes the letters that he knows of based on what Horus taught him. He said, "I think these letters you guys use are amazing. You can leave stuff behind regardless of time and place. And words left behind with letters are passed down without changes or lies, right?" Hearing that made Gotval amaze. In his mind, the value of letters that even civilized people fail to understand is being acknowledged by a pagan barbarian. It should have been taken quite a bit of time for a barbarian to learn this much. He was amazed to think that there is someone he meets in a mission with a desire to learn. Gotval thinks that it must be the will of Ru to meet Urich, so he told him to come and find him after meal and he will gladly teach Urich.